Everyone. We are here to give presentation on cultural examination of Indigenous people. For this presentation, we have selected a community called Anishinaabe, and me, Vishakha, Bharti, and Z. We are gonna do the presentation. So let's get started. But before that, I would like to switch off our videos because we are sharing our presentation and the content is getting overlapped. So let's do that. So in this presentation, we briefly will get to know the introduction about Indigenous people and Anishinaabe community. Later on, we'll get to know the knowings and beings of their ways, governance structure, how do they follow it, sovereignty issues, and at the infancy learning experience. So let's get started. Indigenous peoples, they often known as first people because they were the first occupant of the country. And additionally, they were very close to environmental protection, thoughts, recovery of the, natural elements, their sustainable use, which was advantageous to the society as a whole. And basically in Canada, we can see that there are three types of communities. Um, Indian First Nations, second one is Inuit, and third one is Metis. So in Indian First Nations, in particularly, we can see thousands of communities, and Anishinaabe is one of them. Um, so Indigenous people of Canada have long and varied history. Their rules are built on creations. One of the rituals we know is Thanksgiving. Basically, was initiated by them because they, want to have reminder of keeping practice of showing gratitude throughout many eras, seasons, and years. And uh, so let's move on to next slide. Herein we'll see, introduction about Anishinaabe people. Mostly, they are known as origin man or good people. They have deeper cultural relations, and their language is known as Anishinaabe Movin. Mostly, this language, is spoken in provinces of Manitoba to Quebec. Farming and cooking were their primary mm, things. They seem to have a patriarchal, society because men were responsible for hunting, and mostly chiefs were typically men. But having said that, women were equally, taking part in traditional medicine, painting, and storytelling. Um, let's see what territories are there in Canada. As per the oral history, they are believed to be originated on northeast coast of the uh, Canadian country, but later on, they migrated and they concentrated around the Great Lakes area. So, as we know, there are the shores of Ontario and Erie Lake. Uh, to northern side of those lakes, we can see that this community is now, residing. They live from Ottawa River Valley west across the northern Ontario. Along with Canada, we also can see that this community is, residing in the United States also. So we can see them residing in Minnesota and Michigan.
Okay, myself Zeel. So I'm continuing with Anushima people way of knowing and being. In here, they have long history and they are mostly related and connected with the community and the nature world. Even they are customized their significant components which are even present today. Firstly, we talk about the medicine wheel. They connect their medicine wheel with the four equal continents, which represent four seasons, four phases of life, and even four continental direction. Like moving forward, they have unique awareness with the environment. Uh, they are mostly connected to the plants, animal, and the weather. they are traditionally tradition their mostly tradition is like hunting and fishing, and they are even connected and participate in TEK, which mean by tradition ecology knowledge. So moving forward, yeah. So they mostly perform the sweat lounge as their spiritual performance, where a small ceremony is done by the people and their community. Over there, they do the prayer and for communication with nature, which spiritual leaders see over the full ceremony. In old tradition, they were storytelling, which is historical, where cultural knowledge generation from one to another, and in future, everyone's know about them, who are they and what are they connected. So morally and their community, they are mostly connected with the nature, and they are mostly the spiritual people. In the last, they have invented the clan system, in which they have connected with the animals, like eagle, they are spiritual leader. Then bear, they are a provider or protector for the community. So this they have invented the clan system, over which they symbolize that they are connected with the nature and the community. So I'm moving forward to Bharti. Bharti,
Okay,
can
so myself Bharti, and today I am continuing with government structure and leadership roles. So as we know that the Anishinaabe government structure is totally based on a traditional, like they believed in a 7 second gifts, and this structure is known as a clone based or totem based structure, and they represent political, economic, and spiritual within the community. So there are 7 type of these clone systems, and every clone had their own quality. Like these clones were known as a crane, bear, turtle, deer, and they represent love, respect, truth, prosperity, and majorly they have their own decision and authority. Everyone is open to share their opinion and ideas, and or depend on that. Their main goal was that it make promote a balance and harmony within the society. So in Anishinaabe councils, chief and seniors will meet there, and they share about the war and significant treaties. Even if there were conflict between the bands, and it was settled by the councils as well. Vishaka, can you please move on the next slide? So as we can say that their leadership role, like Anishina bands community have it's made from different community of people, and they all represent same territory and same languages. And this band has a major three councils, like four councils: grand councils, elder councils, women councils, and youth councils. And a grand council had their own right to give administrative justice. Yeah, but it is only depend when the youth, woman, and elder council support an agreement with the grand council, and then he give the authority to establish a new administrative justice. So in consultation with their citizen as well, they have to give the decision in the favor of the citizens. So now Vishaka will continue.
so in solitary ATM, which is faced by the people, the land right was the main key concern for the Anishinaabe people. Due to colonization and government regulation, many people and their group have lost their ancestral land, which result in their dislocated and lost their land. So many group have decided to displace and restrict access to their customary properties. So another issue which was faced was for self-determination. So due to with the help of new government and policies, US government policies, they have harmed their independence and control on their land. So with the help of the policies, they have the authority and little ability to influence decision in which impact in them community. So moving forward to self-respect.
So, as we know that from starting the course, we have understanding of indigenous people's ways knowing and being governance. As we know that all indigenous people have the same ideal and belief, but however, we can see that there is a great deal of diversity within this community. Everyone have their own culture, transportation, home belief, and traditions. And in the beginning, from 14th to 20s, we can see that women, particularly in the First Nation, they didn't have any right to vote in a federal election. But now in the 2000, they all government passed the legislation, and now they are able to give the vote for their own leader. And in present date, government is also collaborating with these people to strengthen their community by providing them their own rights like education, culture, and economics. So Vishakha, move on the next slide.
So herein, I'm going to talk about the issues related to decolonization and reconciliation. Basically, decolonization is rejecting being a host of Eurocentric dominance. And it actually refers to restoration of respect with Mother Earth, water, and all resources of human life, which our indigenous people believe in. Many scholars they are emphasizing this point time to time. And one of the scholar, Alfred, he's also asserting that decolonization happened, but there are like a lot of issues associated with that. So let's go over them and try to understand. The first section is about decolonization happened in the education. So through education, we should actually, try to build a relationship between Indigenous people and Canadian society. So, educational institution have a very vital role to play in this. And but the main question arises wherein how can educators who subscribe to colonial ideologies can actually have a power to theorize the decolonizing education concepts and knowledge about it. So many scholars are suggesting that the whole system needs to be changed to combat the imperialization and intellectual racism that we have currently in our society. Second point is social work. We do have social work in place, but we need to focus more on restoring relationship based on truth and respect. We do know that racism is there in our society, which fuels civic distrust. Authentic representation has to be there, in order to have social work policies, work practices, which are integral to the decolonizing social work education. And lastly, when it comes to government policies, hardly there were changes made in recent 200 years. So we can see that the policies made for the indigenous people are a bit outdated. So we need to have a focus on positive change, and we need to work upon community involvement, actions, and control. And we do need to acknowledge that poor public policy decisions are still being made. Mm, though these issues are there, we are working on providing solutions for that. And Indigia Georgie is one of the organization that is built in 2017, which focuses on learnings the truth of decolonizing education, and which basically is enabling us to take inventory of one's path and further determine what shifts are really necessary moving forward in the society. And it also enables us to determine responsibilities and duties in engaging in respectful relationships. And the main key thing is to confronting issues of fear, assumptions, and false realities which were there in the history, and then work upon it. Um, so these are our references, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay,